Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube and what we believe is his first public interview since leaving Peloton. It's Ross Rayburn. Hey, Ross, how's it going?
What's up, you guys? Nice to see you.
Oh, it's so great to see you. I don't even know where to begin because I want to hear all the things, but what have you been up to?
Oh, nothing.
Okay, well, thanks for stopping by.
Good to see you. Ross.
This has been great. Thank you guys so much. As you can see, not any funnier.
Still got that dad
Sadly.
joke energy.
No, I mean, listen, lots of stuff, lots of good stuff. Been some challenging things. But can I start just by saying thank you so much for inviting me on here, and along the way, you always were so supportive, and just a big giant thank you. And we know each other, so I'm also consider us friends, but I've missed not only you all, but there's so many people in the Peloton community. So my heart is full right now to be back here with you and back with on some level back with the larger Peloton community.
Well, I can tell you for sure, you are missed by so many. I see comments all the time. Every time we report anything that you do, everyone's like, I miss Ross so much. And it's so sweet and it's so loving. And we are truly honored that we are your first public appearance since you left Peloton. It's been coming up on 2 years, almost exactly.
Holy cow.
I know, right?
2 years?
Isn't that crazy?
In a row?
In a row.
in a row. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's part of me feels like yesterday, and then part of me feels like there's been a lot since.
Yeah. Well, let's see. What do you want to share? What you've gone through, what your journey's been the last couple of years, or would you like to focus on what you're doing now?
Yeah, no, I think a little bit of sort of, just in case there's folks out there that are watching that who the hell is this?
Shaw.
I mean, the little thing you wrote was so kind about, the thing you wrote recently, it was a little breakdown. So if you want to do it, I was like, that was written by someone that knows how to write.
I can't take credit for that. That was Elizabeth Schlossberg, one of our writers from our team. And she is a talented writer. We have several talented writers on our team, and she did write that. I cannot take credit for that. So
well, good. Thank you. And thank her. The short version is for people who don't know my story. I was born I was actually born in Illinois, but I was raised in Texas. And didn't start doing yoga until 1997, when I was born in 1971. So I was 26 at the time. So kind of late for a lot of people who start doing yoga. And I was mostly a flow teacher. And then I actually had an incident where there was a young woman who sang so beautifully. We did a chant at the beginning of class, and she sang so beautifully and stopped coming. And I ran into her at Starbucks one day in Los Angeles, where I was living. And she was like, yeah, I busted a rib in your class. And it broke my heart, but was kind of the greatest gift anyone's ever given me, really, because it made me stop just being how hard can I teach just to be popular, and learn my stuff. So I kind of basically autodidactically studied for many, many years, biomechanics, and eventually became a licensed yoga therapist. And so for the 11 years prior to, I taught for a while. I owned a studio in Los Angeles for a while. And then I started traveling around teaching primarily yoga therapeutics trainings for teachers, and was on the road for 11 years, 3.3 million miles in 11 years, 33 countries. But I was ready to go off the road, even though Peloton didn't know that at the time. They were like, would you consider? And I was like, thank God. How do I get off this merry-go-round? And, it was the best decision I've ever made in my life. Second to marrying my husband. It was the second best decision I've ever made in my life.
Good save.
Yeah.
Good save.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, and so it changed my life in so many ways, and I will forever, forever be grateful to Peloton and the Peloton community. Not only, getting to teach on a platform for so many people, at a scale that I would have never imagined, especially during COVID. As everyone, of course, knows, our story. There were a lot of. I was actually at my husband's show, and this gentleman came up to me in the intermission, and was like, he was from Texas, and he was, well, now I just want you to know, cowboy hat, like 6'2". He's like, I just want you to know, my wife's right here, and I'm not crazy. Just so you know, I'm a normal guy. And he went on for a bit and said, I'm an attorney, and basically said that that meditations kind of saved his life. Like, he talked about sort of the ideation that was going on, and I was in tears, he was in tears, and that's the kind of thing that I never expected, and was life-changing for me. And so that, among many other reasons, I would have never gotten a book deal, for instance, without the platform that Peloton, gave me. So for all those reasons, I will forever be grateful. And it was tough to leave, because I love not only the community, but the instructor team, almost everybody. No, I'm just kidding. But I miss them.
I have a follow-up. I
know, right?
Yeah.
I miss them so much, and I stay in contact with a few folks, but it's such a hard job in terms of intensity, and so it is tough because they're so busy. It's tough for me to see them as much as I'd like to. I just was messaging with Dennis just a moment ago, and one of my favorite stories is do you know the Dennis story?
Which I don't think that I
Gonna
do.
have to narrow it down.
Yeah.
So I was going through security one time in Mexico.
Okay.
And this woman stopped me, after it was really awkward, and she was like, "Excuse me, are you Ross Rayburn from Peloton?" And I was like, "I am." She goes, "I love Dennis Morton's yoga classes." Me too. I love him too.
I feel this, because this is no. Let's not act like this never happens. People come up to us sometimes when we're at Peloton events or something, and they're like, "Oh my God, I love the podcast. You two are great. Can I get a picture?" And then, of course, we say yes, and then they hand me the camera. That's what happens. I was like, I too am on the podcast. I am a sidekick, but I am on the podcast.
That happened one time.
Not that I'm counting, but it's happened twice.
Yeah. So I miss everybody, and so it was tough to leave. However, one of the a couple things. The book had happened, and so there were some things that I wanted to do relative to that. But mostly, I wanted to. My husband, he's a ballet choreographer and a Broadway director choreographer, and he's mostly gone. And like our first 10 years together, we mostly were on the road together. I would arrange my trainings. So if he was doing a ballet in Munich, his ballets are 3 years ahead of time. I would call the studio in Munich and say, "Hey, I'd be interested in." So we spent most of our time together on the road. Cut to me all of a sudden home with Peloton. There was a little bit of time when we were apart. COVID happened. We were together that whole time. And then right after COVID, he was in town. He was here because that's when he did MJ the Musical. So he was then 18 months or so together. So it wasn't really till 23-ish that we were apart for the first time. And that got to be really tough, to go more than sometimes 2 months, 3 months apart.
Wow.
And so that was a big driver of the decision to get to spend time together and get to go to the openings, like right now he's in Milan. His Alice in Wonderland is done all over the world. And I lived in Italy and spent a lot of time in Italy and speak Italian pretty well. And I forgot to buy my ticket. 2 weeks ago, I was like, Ross, what? So, and it was a good thing because of all that's going on. It's nice. I didn't need to be home, but to get to spend that first year, to spend a lot of time with him was great. And I've been working since I was 12 years old. I got a job at a miniature golf, putt golf in Friendswood, Texas, 7th grade. And so July of 24 was the first time since I was 12 years old that I wasn't working.
Wow.
And I was surprised at how not bored I was.
You're like, I could get used to this.
I was shocked actually. I could get used to this. And then we were doing a renovation. We had a lot going on, but not to get too deeply into it because I don't want to abridge her or say anything that I shouldn't say for her privacy. But my mom started to go through some stuff, and so since then, and she's doing a lot better now. But I think the real reason why God, the goddess, universe, whatever you use to refer to something higher, I think of the real reason why I stopped in when I did was to be there for my mom. Yeah, that was pretty much it. The only difficult part was really about February of 25. My saying is, my rest had started to turn into rust. And, I wasn't really sure exactly what it was that I wanted to do. I started working with a fantastic executive coach that helped me crystallize everything. And it wasn't until about really 3 months ago that I was able to, God love Chris. He, had heard me so many times explain to people what I was doing, and just, the awful, the literally like, what the hell are you talking about? Watching people's eyes glaze over, and getting it down to an authentic, profound, and useful idea. It took me 18 months.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated that there's someone whose job it is to guide someone on that. Like, how do you fall into that?
Yeah.
That's
a great question.
That's a big leap in and of itself, helping
is.
other people figure out their big leap.
Yeah. Did I only know it's a she because we talked yesterday too, but did your executive coach guide you by asking a lot of questions, or did they spend a lot of time getting to know who you are, or how did they help you figure it out?
She is, I've been very blessed to know a few geniuses in my life. And I often will say, there are geniuses who are bullies, and there are geniuses who are saints. And she is the latter. I think of her as I don't know if I studied mythology for many years, and Joseph Campbell, and as many of you know, my friend, one of my best friends calls me Ross Land the effing plane Rayburn. But I am exponentially better than I used to be because I realized that I needed to be a better storyteller to be a better teacher. And I have a journalism degree, and I remember at SM, I went to SMU, and I have a political science BA and a journalism BA. But I remember Don Hewitt, who started 60 Minutes. There was a quote where he basically said, everything is story. Everything has a beginning, middle, end, and that planted that seed then, and that has resonated with me for a long time. And basically, the mythological lesson from storytelling was, what is and along with Joseph Campbell, is what is the new land? What is the beginning? What is the trials and tribulations? And what is the apotheosis? And that arc is what I have always used. I structure my meditations that way. I structured every single class that way. I structure a toast at a wedding that way. And so she also understood that narrative. And there's also a triadic relationship in the heaven, earth, or gods, humans. And then the mythological character that's in the middle, that's the third of the triad, is called the trickster. And it's same root word, I'm etymology geek. The TRI in trickster is the same THR3. It's the third component. And it's the one that can go, what's the character in not Thor, but
He?
What's his Loki?
Loki. Yeah, his brother.
Loki is a trickster. And so the trickster can go, causes trouble for the gods, causes trouble for the humans. And we depend on the trickster so that when you're down here, she would, the ultimate trickster, bring me up here. And when I'm up here, she brings you down there. And so it was case by case, guiding me to see through the patterns and envision through my own lens the best version of myself.
And where does Ross Rayburn have the best version now? What is the new best version of Ross now? What are you up to?
Those are two different questions, by the way.
Okay.
Two good questions. I'm going to choose to answer the first one because I don't know. One of the things I'm still writing, and one of the first things I wrote for my Substack, which is one of the things I'm doing now. Ooh, answer both questions.
She got you.
Yeah, right.
She'll do that.
Well done. It was called, I called it Not Knowing. Mm-hmm. The Power and Paradox of Curiosity. And when it basically, I think we live in a world where polarities, binaries, ones and zeros, it's very hard for me, and I think for everybody else, to say I don't know, and to admit the truth, which is none of us know anything for sure. There are lots of things that we believe wholeheartedly, but the majority of one of the things I like to ask people is, how many things did you say today that you independently verified?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. You
It's
can't
so
live your.
tough.
Ultimately, you can't live your life that way. I've never been to Paris. I'm assuming it's really there, right? But I have not independently verified it.
Yeah, exactly my point. And so because that is the way we live, and I wouldn't I'm not so I never wanted to get into the whole woo woo, only declare this sort of idyllic, that bullshit. However, to recognize sort of the truth that all of us are making a lot of assumptions, and therefore have the humility to at least intentionally come from a place of, I don't know, whether we say I don't know or whatever, and then offer our opinion. And then say, I think the best version of myself is when, this is again something I learned from Anna, like to use a metric of vitality. Like, am I feeling vital by what I'm saying? Do I think I'm helping someone else feel vital, or do I feel like I'm sapping? Am I wanting or pulling? And so it's like, first the humility to recognize ultimately we're all kind of fumbling in the dark, and I'm going to do my best to offer my opinion and offer my help in an affirmative way for myself and for you, and whatever virtuosic framework works for you. I mean, gosh, I would, and there's a few politicians out there that I think are doing this, but like when I hear somebody that can offer a little bit of humility or nuance or express I see value in what my opponent is saying. I don't agree with it, but I see exactly why they're saying it. And here's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Like, to me, I think people are longing for that kind of honesty and sort of vulnerability. And I understand why not, because it's maybe not clickable. It's not as authoritative, I guess. I just feel like if there was a politician out there that articulated that kind of nuance, I think we're talking landslide territory.
I think the problem is everything gets truncated to like 80 characters. And if you can't convey it in that amount of time, it will be conveyed in that amount of time on your behalf, and you won't get to control it. And so it's really hard to communicate in this ecosystem with nuance.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. I do think it's possible. I mean, even if it's as simple as, if you ask me the question again of, what's the best version of yourself? Like, I'm not really sure, but in every moment I'm doing my best.
And then that is the best.
Yeah.
And that like truncated, like, hey, how do you feel about X? Like, this particular really controversial idea. Like, well, I'm not 100% sure. I see my opponent's view, but I think we should do this. Like, just even like a dropping of some kind of humility or recognizing the value of your opponent's opinion. I just think I agree with you that it is incredibly challenging, but I don't think it's impossible.
I agree with that.
Yeah. But I also agree, going back to what you were saying about the ability to say, I don't know. Like, I say that to the kids all the time. When I got promoted at work, the first thing I said was, I'm going to not know things, and I'm going to own the fact that I don't know things, because if you can't say you don't know, you never will.
Well, and when you read leadership books, they all say you should admit when you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, that's always the direction we're given, but I think it's not what we're shown by people. So it's like people say one thing, but what is reflected back on us from what we see in others is not always that.
No, you're exactly right. And to be honest, like, I would say, I mean, I think about this all the time and I work on it a lot, and I'm still maybe like 40, 50% that I do it. Like when the shit's hitting the fan, or when you're really under pressure, or when you're in a situation like where you have less power and you're trying to impress somebody. Like, I have to also like be honest. I try to always self-reflect first. Like, I'm preaching this, but what do I really practice? And the reality is that, yes, leadership books say that, but when you're under the gun, sort of pressure-wise, to say I don't know in a room full of people that are about to, that you're applying for a job, that takes some massive courage. And I would never want to belittle the fact by just saying, platitudinally, like, just say I don't know. So as much as I believe it, I also want to be realistic.
Yeah. Great point. And you just took the nuance back in a circle, because that's the nuance of being able to speak to people. So
Yeah.
When I first started the position I was in, someone sent out this thing about I book concerts, and they were talking about adding a something to a show, and they used a 3-letter abbreviation, and I stared at it forever, and I was just like, I've never heard this abbreviation before, and I Googled it, and I dug around, and I couldn't find it, and then finally I asked somebody else. I was like, do you know what this means? And then they were like, no, and I finally just went back to the guy, and I was like, I don't know what this means. Like, I don't know what you're saying. And it was a typo. So I'm really glad I didn't pretend like I knew what he was talking about.
Oh, my God. That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay. So I will actually real quick tell you. So what Anna helped me do was, I think I made this joke to you yesterday when we were talking, like a lot of people like, I went to India to find myself only to find out that I was back in Brooklyn. So it was like after the book and after that, like, what's the new brand? What's the new brand? And finally got around to like, she's like, you got a good brand, Russ. Like, you're the yoga guy. Like, you've been teaching yoga for, over 27 years, like, teach yoga. But I realized I wanted to redefine what I mean by yoga. In a way, take it back to the original concept, which includes meditation and includes all sorts of other ideas, basically about unity, about finding connection. And what I was in Italy with a bunch of friends of mine, and I helped someone, their shoulder was hurting. And this comes back to the therapeutics, and everybody kind of tilts their head to one side. We do that to like be more compassionate. But that side is often the injured side because it drops. And so I just had him with breath create symmetry across his collarbones, frees up blood flow, the vagus nerve gets cleared, and doesn't fix everything, but it's a great way to use your posture to bring some health benefits. And the other people standing around were like, do me. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. See, that's what I love. I like posture. I have always been, the book is basically about mindfulness, is called mindfulness, not mind emptiness. Like trying to clear your thoughts is like what does that mean? So the mind as a, I want to be smart. Like, who doesn't want to get smarter? Like, I want a good mind, not a clear, and then a different version on the breath. So instead of like just yoga and meditation, it's posture, mind, and breath. And the posture became strategic posture. So I could help Dak Prescott, who I'm a huge Cowboys fans. Clearly we haven't won a Super Bowl in a while. But like, what is the posture of when you choke versus what is the posture when you're winning? And so to use your posture to strategically change your mental state, as opposed to trying to use your mind to change your mental state. And then your mind, use it to shift your perspective, to either zoom out and see the whole chessboard or zoom in to the particular precise thing that needs to be changed. The strategic posture, mental clarity, and then the breath, instead of just breath work, I call it impact breathing or impact breath, which is if you're nervous, your breath is going to speed up. If you're relaxed, your breath will slow down and your vocal cords will drop and your tone will lower. So when you find yourself on a first date, slow down your breath and change your posture and soften shift into your ego mind. And then all of a sudden, you're a little bit more attractive as opposed to this posture and this breath and the I really, really need this date to work out because I am desperate for love like we all are. Or for the quarterback or for the CEO. So instead of Warrior 2, which I do all the time, strategic posture, mental clarity, and impact breathing, which you can do in one breath.
Okay. And so you're on Substack, you're writing, you're telling people about, what kind of your journey through this, but are people like, is there a place where people can interact with you and say, Ross, help me learn how to get through this, my nerves or whatever? Like, is that something that's a thing?
Yeah, Substack is so cool. So originally it was just going to be I don't really say coaching so much because that word I don't really know what that means. It is kind of a coaching. I call it a strategic performance coach.
Okay.
And so the original, I've got a website, Ross Rayburn Yoga, is where all that information lives, and working with individuals, community groups, CEOs, athletes, a whole range of different, folks. But then that was going to be the business. And, but Substack has come along, and it's such a wonderful platform now because you can have a podcast on there. It can be long form writing. I'm putting videos up, posture videos. I really just begun my meditations again. I now have sleep meditations up there, and it's just a fantastic platform. And I don't know to what degree what percentage that will be the business versus the actual coaching business. I'm really at the very beginning of it, which is incredibly exciting. So stay tuned.